Let's learn some super useful English expressions for casual conversation. And I think these expressions are going to help you add a little more flavor to your discussions if you're talking to a friend, a colleague, a family member. Now, this is a quiz lesson, so I would like you to participate. Write your answers in the chat or in the comments. And if you'd like to get the lesson notes, join my email community. Check out the link down below in the description. If you're already a part of it, I have sent them to you all right now. So one thing I would like to introduce myself. If you are someone who enjoys building your vocabulary and learning new words, phrases, and expressions, please subscribe, turn on notifications. That way I can become your teacher. My name is Wes. The channel is Interactive English. It's all about trying to help you reach your fluency goals. So this lesson is not just passive learning. You don't have to just sit there and watch. I want you to participate. There have been allegations of corruption. I bet this is just the tip. What? How would you complete that expression? I'm giving you part of it. The tip. This is, I think, a common expression that you probably know. You may even actively use it already. It may be a part of your active vocabulary. But to try and give you some context, there have been allegations of corruption, and somebody says, well, I bet this is just the tip. How would you complete this expression? And I think giving the first part, the tip, is a little bit of a hint. And yes, we are talking about the tip of the iceberg. And I don't know if you noticed, this is a politician in the background, Senator Menendez. And yeah, I feel like when talking about corruption and politics, I think usually whatever you know, whatever information you have, it's probably just the tip of the iceberg, which means a small, noticeable part of a problem. And even though the total size, which is really much greater. And the example sentence, yeah, there have been allegations of corruption, but I bet this is just the tip of the iceberg. To give you a visual, because I am a visual learner, when thinking about an iceberg, you can kind of see, well, up top, what people see, that small, noticeable portion, and then down below, what is hidden. There's more to it. So, for example, they say, well, you see someone's behavior, but there's all this other stuff underneath, which is actually a bigger part of who the person is, their values, their beliefs, their worldview, the things that you don't readily see. So if you want to say that, well, you can only see a small part of something that's much greater, you could say it's just the tip of the iceberg. Here is your next question. I wasn't sure if he was telling the truth, but I decided to give doubt. What do you think? This is I think, a very useful expression, and we're talking about to give, and then the final word is doubt. I wasn't sure if he was telling the truth, but I decided to give doubt. This is one that I'm sure you've heard, and once again, maybe you actively use it. I tried to choose expressions that I think are a bit more common. Excellent, great job, Lali Janatul, to give someone the benefit of the doubt. I wasn't sure if he was telling the truth, but I decided to give him the benefit of the doubt. This means that you're choosing to believe what someone tells you, even though it may be wrong or maybe it's a lie. I wasn't sure if someone was telling the truth, but I decided to believe what they were saying, and I can say, yeah, I decided to give him the benefit of the doubt. And how about, what do you think? This one is maybe a bit more challenging. I feel like I always get the stick when my family decides who is going to do which chore. I feel like I always get the stick when my family decides who's going to do which chore. So to get and the last word is stick. And notice the chore, I put somebody cleaning the toilets. It's not a chore that I think, well, many people enjoy doing or want to do. I know I would rather do the dishes than clean the toilet. But if they have to do this, and you could say that they get the short end of the stick. So if somebody is getting the short end of the stick, this just means that they end up in a worse position than other people in a particular situation, even though it's not their fault. So perhaps somebody is selected at random, and you basically have to do something that nobody wants to do, and you get the short end of the stick, such as, like, well, if somebody gets the short end of the stick and they have to clean the toilet when deciding who's going to do which family chore. I believe this may come from people when they try to make a decision, like who's going to do something, and they have all these sticks and they break them up, and somebody has to choose. Whoever gets the shortest stick is the person that has to do the task or the thing that nobody wants to do, and you get the short end of the stick. I believe this is where this expression comes from. To give you a little more context, because these are casual expressions. Most of the time, you're just going to hear and use them in informal conversation. However, you may still come across them in a more formal context, such as a news article. And even though this is more casual, I've given you some news headlines using this expression. Zim government, I believe they're talking about the Zimbabwe government, restrained and carefree in its spending. Civil servants get short end of the stick. Or landowners may get short end of the stick. And finally, Blue Jays prospect gets short end of the stick, as many are absent from MLB Pipeline Top 100. Now, once again, you're probably not going to come across this as much in writing if you're reading a news article or a book, but it is something that you're more likely to use in conversation. I would say that goes for all of these expressions. What do you think of the next one? She plans to keep running. She's wind. So the expression, it ends with the word wind. Once again, I think this is a useful expression that I think you can use quite often in a specific situation. So in this context, someone's going to keep running, but and maybe it's difficult, and they're just going to keep going, and they would say, oh gosh, I'm about to say it. She is wind. I think once I tell you, you probably may recognize it or think, oh yes, I'm familiar with this expression. So the expression that we're looking for is to get your second win, or to get for someone to get their second win. So in this situation, somebody's running and they're very tired, but they get their second win. They get the energy to keep going. So you have this return of strength or energy that makes it possible to continue an activity or start again if you've stopped doing an activity. A lot of times I feel like this is used when you're exhausted and you're tired, but then you have this energy to keep going or to stay awake, and you're getting your second win. For example, sometimes at night, if I'm working late, I might be really tired, and then instead of going to bed, I'm saying, okay, I think I'm getting my second win, and I'm going to continue working. Or maybe you fly somewhere and you travel somewhere, and once again, you're tired, but you've landed, and you're like, okay, I'm going to stay up. I have this, this return to strength, and I'm getting my second win. Here is a funny example. I think of this, these raccoons. When you're tired, but you get a second win. And of course, this raccoon looks like he's up to no good. And I don't think it's a good thing if a raccoon is getting a second win. So a great phrase in case this is one that you may be unfamiliar with. How about this one? Your eyes, for any changes in the schedule. So I'm giving you part of the expression, your eyes. I know this is challenging because you're really, with some of these sentences, I'm not giving you much context. Your eyes, for any changes in the schedule. So you're giving this command, which I think is often how this expression is used. Your eyes, What do you think? I'm telling somebody to, look, pay attention. I want you to be aware, and I would like you to keep your eyes peeled. Keep your eyes peeled for any changes in the schedule. Now, I saw somebody say, keep your eyes open. That also works. I would say if you say, hey, tell somebody, hey, keep your eyes open and look for something, be aware, that also works. You could use, again, in this case, the expression keep your eyes peeled for any changes in the schedule. Or I'll give you another example because this is one that I would often use. But again, it means to watch carefully for someone or something. If I'm driving and maybe I'm looking for a gas station, if somebody else is in the car with me, I might tell them, hey, look, keep your eyes peeled for a gas station and look for one so that we can pull over and get some gas. So once again, keep in mind, I told you that often you may use this as more of a command. You're telling somebody, look, keep your eyes peeled for this thing. But you could use open. I don't want to say that's incorrect. And I'll even give you another one that I was unfamiliar with, which is more British English. Keep your eyes skinned. It says informal, British, but it means to look or watch closely in order to see or find something. Before this lesson, I was unaware of this phrase, but so you learn something new every day. Keep your eyes peeled, keep your eyes skinned. But to give you a little context, if you want to know which one is more frequently used, this is a great opportunity. You can go to Ngram Viewer. This is a resource that you can compare the frequency of different words and phrases. And as you can see, it's much more common to say keep your eyes peeled. Keep your eyes peeled for this or that. And yes, if you are in the US, that is the expression you want to use. Keep your eyes peeled for something. I'm switching it up a little bit now. I'm giving you the meaning, and I want you to think of the expression. Use the picture to help you. So I've chosen pictures that kind of really capture the idiom or the expression. So the meaning is to not completely believe something that you are told because you think it is unlikely to be true. What do you think? What expression can I use that has this meaning? Don't completely believe it because, it may not be true. What should you do? Look at the picture, and I think this one, I thought it might have been fairly easy, or at least a little easier when you're talking about this expression. Yes, excellent. This is some great answers. To take something with a grain of salt. A lot of times the something is going to be it, like you're talking about a story and you say, look, I'd take it with a grain of salt. Or you read something in the newspaper or on Facebook, okay, just take it with a grain of salt. Once again, in British English, you may hear people use pinch instead of grain, but I just wanted to give you some example sentences using this expression. I already mentioned when you see something on Facebook, and yes, I definitely think this is true, you should take it with a grain of salt. Now, I always try to take everything with a grain of salt. I think that is a healthy thing to do, especially nowadays with you have social media, a lot of information that's really not that great. It may not be true or it's incomplete. So I think it's always good to take things with a grain of salt. And another thing, maybe you don't have to trust me. You should take what I say with a grain of salt, that final example sentence. So that's another way that that you may hear people use it. I said to take it with a grain of salt, or in the next sentence, to take everything with a grain of salt, or to take what someone says with a grain of salt. And it's kind of like you're advising someone when it comes to this. How about this expression right here? Use the picture to come up with the expression. The meaning is to do things in the wrong order. What is someone doing in this situation? If someone is doing something in the wrong order, of course you could just say, look, you're just doing this in the wrong order. But if you want to use an expression and you want to capture this idea, you could tell someone this: you are doing what? And once again, I feel like this image really captures the expression. So looking at it, what's going on in this picture? You're doing things in the wrong order. In that case, you are putting the cart before the horse. So once again, of course, you could say something, look, you're doing this and you're doing this all in the wrong order, but you might want to, you could emphasize telling someone, look, you're putting the cart before the horse. You should be doing the other thing before you do this, to try to provide a little more clarity when it comes to this. Here are some examples of when you might be putting the cart before the horse. So you're putting the cart before the horse if you start decorating a new office before you get the promotion. And in that case, yes, you are putting the cart before the horse. Or you're putting the cart before the horse if you book your honeymoon vacation before you propose. Not a good idea. I think you should propose first and then think about the honeymoon. If you do it the other way around, you're putting the cart before the horse. And finally, you're putting the cart before the horse if you start selling a product before it is tested. Once again, you're doing things in the wrong order. You should test things and then sell the product. But if you don't do that, you could tell someone, look, you're putting the cart before the horse. Great expression. Here's another one that I think maybe it's a little more aggressive, depends on the situation and the context. Again, the picture, I think, really is very specific when it comes to this. The meaning is to show by your actions and not just your words that you support or believe something. So in this situation, maybe I want to tell someone, I don't want to hear what you're saying, because let's see your actions. Let's see you do this thing, and I want you to do what? The picture, I think, can really help you in this case, because this gentleman right here, what is he doing? He's putting his money where his mouth is. To put your money where your mouth is. I told you that this may be a little more aggressive, but it's like if somebody's just talking, like, I'm going to do this, or this is easy, and you want to say, okay, let's see you do it. Don't just talk about it. Let's see your actions. Let's see you do it. I want you to put your money where your mouth is. Or you could just tell somebody as like a command, put your money where your mouth is. A lot of times people would follow this up and they might want to bet the person and say, let's see you put your money where your mouth is. I'll bet you $100 that you cannot do this thing. So think about that context, that situation, because language learning should be fun. Here is a little comic in which case this person is saying, they say, put your money where your mouth is. So I'm making a salad out of $100 bills. It's like they're taking the expression literally as far as putting the money where your mouth is and making a salad out of this money. So here is the next one. What do you think? To depend for your success on a single person or plan of action. What is, if somebody is doing this, and this is the situation, what expression has this meaning? And once again, I don't know if you all find this more challenging than the first part or a little more difficult. I thought maybe it might be a little easier with these pictures, because the picture is like almost literally what the expression is. Your success depends on maybe a single action or a plan of action, and this is not a good thing. And in that case, excellent, Lolly, Joanna, Manuel, you are putting all your eggs in one basket. To put all your eggs in one basket means that, yes, you're just depending on maybe one thing when you probably should diversify, would be a good way of putting it. So here are some example sentences to give you a little more context. Investing all your savings in one stock is risky. You're putting all your eggs in one basket. Or the next one, I wouldn't recommend applying to only one college. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. Sometimes you're going to hear people use this with the negative, like you're giving someone advice. And you, in that case, you're going to use the negative and say, look, don't put all your eggs in one basket. You should do more things, apply to more colleges, buy more stocks instead of just one. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. And then finally, she's been relying on one client for most of her business. She's definitely putting all her eggs in one basket. So keep in mind, Typically, this is more of a negative. When you have all your eggs in one basket, it is a risky situation. And that is why I said I think often people may use it with the negative in advising someone, look, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Here's the next one. The person who arrives first in a place is most likely to get what they want. What expression has this meaning? And you can use that picture to try to think about, okay, what expression is this? The person who arrives first in a place is most likely to get what they want. And I feel like this is like a saying that you're telling somebody, look, you should arrive first because, yeah, you're going to get the thing that you want. And you would tell this person, the early bird catches the worm. Early bird catches the worm. You arrive first, you're going to get what you want. So basically, it's kind of saying that if you wake up earlier, if you're really active, probably like I guess in the morning, then you're going to achieve your goals. You're going to get what you want. And you may say this to someone if the next morning, like, we got to get up early, we got to get going, we got to start because the early bird catches the worm. I thought this was funny. Again, this little meme. You see this bird right here kind of clutching like, yes, I slept in and I still caught that worm. Yes, it was great. And it's always, I guess it's always a good thing. It's always reason to cheer if you're able to sleep in and still catch that worm and achieve your goal for the day. What do you think? This is a common expression. It's one that I think most of you know. Many of you probably actively use it, but it means to imagine how someone else feels in a difficult situation. Use the picture. Think about the expression. You're imagining, well, how does this person feel in this situation? Or I'm trying to think about it and be a little more possibly sympathetic to what someone else is going through or dealing with. And you could tell someone, look, you need to put yourself in their shoes. To put yourself in someone's shoes is just imagining how someone else feels in a difficult situation. Now, there are other expressions that you can use that really have the same meaning. And you could put yourself in someone's shoes, or you could say someone else's shoes. You'd often hear else's with this expression, or to put yourself in someone's place, or to put yourself in someone's position. So I've given you some example sentences with each of those. You should be kinder when considering others and put yourself in their shoes once in a while. Or to put yourself in someone's place. If we're having a conversation and I say, look, put yourself in my place, what else could I have done? All right, what should I have done in this situation? I don't know. Just put yourself in my place. Or put yourself in someone's position. If maybe you're encouraging me to exaggerate in a job interview and I don't feel comfortable. And I think, look, okay, this could be problems. Like, I'm not going to lie in the job interview. It's wrong. Put yourself in my position. All right, think about my situation and put yourself in my position. So all of these, again, really have the same meaning. Trying to say, look, you should be more sympathetic as to what someone else is going through. We've already talked about Ingram Viewer. This is another great example of we have these different phrases and you want to know, okay, which one am I more likely to come across or use when I'm having a conversation? I put these in Ngram Viewer and it was very close. Basically to put yourself in my place and put yourself in my shoes are used at about the same frequency. You're going to come across them fairly regularly. And then the other one, to put yourself in my position, is not as often used, but still one that you may come across. So it's good to be aware of and know all of these. So here is a little review. These are all the expressions that we just talked about today. If you learn something new, you can let me know by hitting that like button. That is my goal with all of these lessons. I just hope you learn something new so that you can continue building your vocabulary.